section first. So Vinny, if you want to kick things off.
Phil, 8 new signings so far this summer. How do you feel that everything has come together?
Yeah, I think we're getting there slowly. I don't think we're where we need to be yet, but obviously we're pleased with the players we've brought in. They've added quality to the group, and it's now about integrating them into the side and into the squad in general.
How difficult is that when you've had that kind of churn of players and potentially more to come?
Yeah, I think the ideal scenario is that you get all the new players in before you go on tour, but it never works like that for many different reasons. But while we're in Australia, we worked very hard on the recruitment and had 4 players wait for us when we came back almost to announce. And since then we've added more players. So yeah, that's the balance right. Getting the balance right between blooding the new players in, keeping the momentum and the continuity we've had over the last few seasons, obviously, looking forward to seeing all the new lads play. But equally for me, it's the lads who've been on this journey with us since the start. Watching them adapt to another new division, because we've got some great stories here of players who joined us in the National League and now find themselves 3 years later in playing in the Championship, and that's very rewarding for myself and the rest of the staff to see those players continue to develop, and the new players' job is to help them adapt to the division.
How important has it been as well to bring in the kind of experience at this level? I'm thinking in particular of Kieffer, Conor, Coady as well.
Yeah, very important. I think two important signings for us. Obviously, Conor's got a lot of experience at Premiership level, captain teams in the top division, played for his country. Kieffer likewise, and players who know the way around the league. Like I said, those players will only help our players adapt to this division.
We said there's potential for more signings before the deadline. Nathan Broadhead, can you bring us up to date as to what is happening there?
Yeah, honestly don't know anything today whether there's been any developments. So, he's Ipswich Town's player, and until I'm told different, that's the way it'll stay.
Pushing you though, how hopeful would you be to get that over the line?
Obviously there's a number of deals we're looking into at the moment. So, I think it's a bit unfair going into the season to comment on other teams' players who are under contract. So yeah, there's several opportunities we're looking at, and hopefully can make the right calls to continue improving what we've got.
Just to push names, Pedro Lima on loan from Wolves, Lewis Kumas at Liverpool.
Yeah, honestly, there's such a list of players get mentioned. We seem to get links with everybody. At this stage, I just don't want to really comment on any individuals.
What about with the players you've got? I'm just thinking the injury front as well, because Thompson obviously had that thigh issue. Has he had a scan? What's the situation there with him?
Yeah, we've had that bit of disruption. Obviously Sam Smith, first of all, missed a lot of pre-season. And Jay Rodriguez, unfortunately, also. So the 2 strikers who finished the season, and then Ollie Rathbone over in Australia damaged his ankle ligament. So in that side, it hasn't gone as smoothly as we would have liked. But I think other teams will also be facing problems. George Thomason came in, looked really good, and they've got a slight problem with his thigh. He's getting that re-scan this evening, and we'll know more the extent of that.
Given that, and given the way you're gelling the squad together at the moment, are you able to put into context what your realistic aims are this season?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to predict, but I said that last season in League One, because how the players who've never played at the level are going to adapt, so how the players we brought in are going to fit in. There's a lot of variables in place. The only thing I'm looking for is success for Wrexham is by the end of the season we've continued to represent this great football club in the way we have over the last 4 years. And if we do that, I'll be very pleased, and we'll see where that takes us.
At various points that I'm sure we'll mention 4 in a row.
Well, of course, the 3 in a row is history. People are going to inevitably mention that. But, we don't get carried away with ourselves. We never have. Other people on the outside may well talk about that, but we're just focused on what we've got to do, remaining grounded as a group and knowing that there's a lot of hard work ahead of us, but it's equally very exciting as well. There's an air of anticipation in and around the town, in the club, and everybody can't wait to get started in what is going to be a tremendous season.
Thanks, Phil. Good luck.
Thank you.
Phil, good to see you. Just following on from Vinny's question there on the overall aims in terms of your chats with the owners that you have regularly over the summer.
Yeah.
What are their thoughts in terms of not just the next year but your whole time here going forward?
Yeah, I think one thing with Rob and Ryan, they've never kind of spoke about put pressure on us. We've got to do this and we've got to do that. It's about the talk about getting the squad and the template we set out in the summer, what we're working towards. Can we fill the blanks where we needed players coming in to give us a chance to be competitive in the division? So they're the conversations I have with Rob and Ryan about that, rather than we're going to do this or we've got to do that. That's never been the way the conversations have gone. They just been supportive to help us build a competitive team squad.
Yeah, and in terms of the 8 signings coming in as well, does that maybe mean there's going to be a few more exits over the next few weeks?
I think inevitably players are going to go, and that's sometimes as well, it's for the benefit of the player as well, because there's players who didn't get a lot of game time last year who need for themselves to go and play. So I feel we've done well. We've been very fair to everybody over the last 4 years since Rob and Ryan came in. Everybody's been treated respectfully, and of course decisions have got to be made because we've got to be realistic. We're going into a very competitive division with a lot of spending power across the board. So players will go, and it'll generally be the ones who we feel need to get some game time, and that may be loan or permanent deals.
You mentioned competitive division there. I mean, Saturday's fixture probably shows that. A club you know well in Southampton, what do you expect from them on the weekend?
Yeah, I think first of all, there's a huge expectation on the teams who've come down, and we can go and kind of enjoy that underdog card going down there at the weekend. What am I expecting? Difficult to predict the lineup because they've had a few injuries over pre-season. A few players in the background seem to maybe move in, may still be there. So I'm sure their manager's getting asked the same questions as I am. So, we've spoke to the lads today that, it's if you're 3-4 weeks in the season, you can predict more how teams are going to play and what shape they're going to play. But I think this one is slightly more difficult. So it's about concentrating on what we feel we need to do to be at our best at the weekend.
There's always been so much thought of looking forward and what's going to happen next at this club ever since you've been here. But was there any chance in the summer to just look back at what you've actually achieved so far?
Yeah, there's definitely been some reflection, and when we've all had our separate holidays, and it's great to be away with a family. See my parents who live in the northeast, spend a bit of time with them, and talk about the achievement. Because as you know, once the season's off and running, it's kind of like 100 miles an hour. So yeah, of course, looking back at that first division season, when you look back at the competitiveness of that division, and to finish, get promoted, was tremendous for us all, and it was a huge effort. And I think sometimes people look at us and think, oh, yeah, Wrexham have just spent money, that's it. No, there's a lot of detail, a lot of thought, a lot of structure behind the scenes which has taken place to enable us to get those 3 promotions.
Thank you, Phil.
Anyone else from the cast in the room?
A few inconsequential losses over the last month, Phil. How valuable have those been as part of preparations?
Yeah, I think, the results in pre-season, you always won in every game, but I think we've kind of had a bit of disruption in terms of the team we've been able to get on the pitch, which hasn't helped. We've had a lot of travelling as well, and I think there's mitigating circumstances for that, but the main thing is the attitude of the players has been outstanding. And you look going to Australia, arriving in Melbourne, get the lads to train in after being jet lagged and in difficult weather conditions at the start. But their attitude's been brilliant every single day. And of course, we would love to have won all the games over there, but played against some good teams, and sometimes that happens. And you can learn from every game, whether it's pre-season or in the season.
And it's such a big jump from League One to the Championship. How's everyone feeling? Is everyone nervous? Everyone excited?
Yeah, excited. Like I said, there's such an air of anticipation in the building because we've worked very hard, and it's not just work on the pitch. I'm talking about the work behind the scenes, the structure of the club, the culture we've created to achieve what we've done. And we want to make sure the lads really enjoy this experience, and we're going to do that.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to our TV just on here,
Okay.
and we'll start with this section.
to say about aims this season, but momentum must be a big thing. After 3 successive promotions, you're going in flying and full of confidence.
Yeah, without doubt, momentum and is so important, and we've got to get the balance, like I've said, between utilising that momentum and that winning kind of culture we've got, and adding the quality to that as well. So yeah, we want to utilise that. We've got lads who are used to winning football games, and now we've got to find a way at this division to continue that, and what a great challenge for us.
You've always handled the step up in the past, but this will be the biggest one so far, won't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think, when you look at the division and the clubs in the league, of course, but I don't want us to fear it. I really don't, and I want us to go into every game ready to be positive. We've always been at our best when we've played in a positive way, and we're going to go into each game with that mindset, and see where that takes us.
You've seen in recent years teams like Ipswich have gone up, and I'm not saying that the same thing would happen here, but they've handled the step up, haven't they? And obviously gone and done another promotion themselves to the Premier League.
Yeah, of course, it has been achieved, but like I said, Rich, I think it'd be very naive of me to be sat here starting to compare ourselves with Ipswich a few years ago. We just want to get a foothold in the division. Similar to last year, for you guys who followed us, we evolved as the season went on, and that was the most pleasing things. We changed tactically as we went on. We changed, made adjustments to the setup of the team, to the way we played, and by the end of the season, we looked like a very accomplished side. At the start of the season, it took us a little bit while to adapt to Division 1, but yeah, of course, hopefully we can hit the ground running this season. But it's about adapting, looking at team strengths and weaknesses, and making sure we're set up to give ourselves the best chance.
You have to pinch yourself, don't you, that 3 years ago we're still lining up in the National League.
Listen, amazing that, we're running out Southampton in front of a packed house team which has spent a lot of its time in the Premiership over the last few years, and when we look at my first ever game, Solihull away, in front of a couple of thousand people, that 4 years later we're running out of Southampton, and like you said earlier, sometimes you do have to step back and appreciate what we've done.
Cheers, Phil.
You've had a lot of busy summers as a manager, but how long does this compare to those?
Yeah, it's been up there, to be honest, Rich. It's and it's still ongoing, and every signing takes a long while. People sometimes think it's just an offer goes in and it's kind of plain sailing. There's a lot of energy and time going in, not just for myself meeting the player, but also obviously, Sean and Mike and working out the structure of payments and doing the deal behind the scenes. And it's enjoyable. It's like obviously piecing together that jigsaw, and we started the summer with a clear kind of template of where we wanted the squad to look, and we still feel we're players short of that, but obviously we've made significant progress in the last couple of weeks since we came back from our tour.
Do the deals get more complicated the higher you are because, like say, payment structure and things like that? When Bradford, you signing free transfer.
Yeah.
Is that more straightforward?
I think whatever division you're in or whatever club you're at, you've got to aim for the best players at the top end of your budget. So it's kind of seeing what kind of ceiling you can get to, and aiming for those players. I think in the main we've done well, to attract Kieffer more here. Another great story coming, to a club in Wales, Welsh international. And as you all know, we love a good story at Wrexham. Danny Ward coming back to the club, and so attract those players with kind of a narrative and a profile which we feel fits what we've got is key, and it's making sure we get the best players available for the money we've got to spend.
With regards to those possible departures over the next month, have you said to those players yet that you mentioned who didn't get football, or is it up to them to work out for themselves? What do you do with them?
Yeah, no, I think as it goes along, those conversations take place because Kieffer Moore comes in. I've had a good chat with Ollie Palmer this week. He needs to go and play this season. He knows that. He's been brilliant for us. Great servant to the club. A real key player in the climb up the divisions. But he's ready to go and play himself now, and so that's an example. Obviously we spoke about Jacob Mendy a couple of weeks ago, and there's other players in that category, but equally there's also a group who want to prove themselves, and they're going to get that opportunity to do that.
It's quite a balance for them, isn't it, those players, but you'll still see the championship. I fancy that.
Yeah.
But that's football, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right. I think there's a lot of players who've enjoyed being part of this club, and rightly so. But there is also that one where they know for their own careers they need to play, and if we feel the time's right for that to happen, then we'll help it happen and get them a club where we feel is going to be beneficial for them.
Just for yourself, feel good to be back in the Championship?
Yes, I think it's a great league. Every game it feels like a real big match atmosphere. And listen, start with Southampton. You know, when the fixtures came out, I think we're all pleased with the fixture, because what a great start. For us to go down to a club who's just got relegated, and one more day's training to go. We'll get down there in good time, get the lads rested. A lot of the preparation has been done, and come 12:30, we'll be ready.
It's a vicious league, isn't it? And it's a graveyard for managers. Not that I'm suggesting you're under any of that pressure, but I think 18 managers lost their jobs last year. It's like a hamster wheel.
Yeah, that's just the nature of the division and of football in general. And as a manager, you just got to kind of accept that and concentrate on doing your best every single day. And that's what myself and the rest of the staff will aim to do. Understanding division, you can get a good run, but you can very quickly be on a bad run, and it can change quickly. And over the years, the division's so tight right to the end last season. There's so many teams in contention for the playoffs spot. So it is very tight. If we get beat in games, which inevitably is going to happen, it's make sure we don't overreact as a staff, and we regroup and work towards the next one. And that's the mindset we had last year. We had setbacks along the way. We had people doubting us. People think the 3 promotions we've had, praise all the time and plaudits, but we've had periods where people started questioning me as a manager, they questioned the players, and you come through those periods, and there's always a bigger picture to look at, and we're all confident of what our aims are as a staff, and we've proved that over the last few years, and we aim to do that again.
Trying to get us to ITP.
I'll do that, so then Ollie can cut.